Greetings! I want to do this video on your general sewing setup. It's kind of a thing that's probably going to be personal for various ladies, but I'm going to show you mine. And I have to ask you, please excuse the state of my sewing room. I've already cleaned it up some, but it is still a long way from being clean. My sewing room is used a lot, so it tends to have that artistic flair of mess in it, so you have to forgive me. I try to keep it kind of clean, but it doesn't always work out so great when you use it so much. But let me try to show you around my room a little bit, and hopefully you won't think I'm too terrible with the state of it. But I'm hoping that maybe some of the ladies who are new to sewing can maybe pick up a few tips. Let me take the camera off the tripod 1 second. Okay, now you're probably a little bit dizzy from looking around here, but as you can see, I am shooting my sewing area here. You can see my machines and the general setup that I have, and I'm very blessed in that I do have my stuff set up all the time. I have a sewing room. Our house is a big old house, but it does have a lot of space in it. Of the things here I have it ready are pretty common. Obviously you want your scissors, your pins, things to clean your machine with, because you don't want to ever neglect that, so you always want that to be handy. You have your threads. I think that's kind of a no-brainer, if at all possible have them near you. If you can't, it's not that big of a deal. In my case, I'm blessed with a serger. Definitely not necessary to have, just a blessing. Let's see, my box of feet. Very, very useful. I love all my little feet. On the Bernina, it's very, very easy to change back and forth between your feet, and I love that. And when I'm sewing just one head covering, I probably change my feet 10 to 15 times. Never used to do that when I was sewing with my Singer, but it really is helpful. I will go over those on a separate video. But little gadgets and stuff to have nearby are useful. You know, pens, pencils, things like that. Tweezers, those are essential when you're sewing on a serger. Very useful little gadget I use constantly. It's for making bias tape. What I tend to use it for more than anything is the ties on head coverings, because it folds them over and it folds it for you while you iron it flat, and then you just have to zip it through the machine. Very, very handy little gadget to have. But because I always do all of this right here, notice my iron. It's for that way I can sit here and iron seams and press different things as I sew. That's another big tip. Have your iron right by you if you can. I've got the little sleeve ironing board there, which is very useful for sewing head coverings. A block I bought from GVS for helping to iron head coverings, but I confess I don't use it as much as I thought I would. This is something I made to help me iron head coverings, and as you can see, it's a roll of toilet paper. I just lined it with some cotton batting, made a little top and a little cardboard piece under there, hush, and cut that in the round, and it makes a perfect thing to iron your head covering with. Excuse the little one, he's kind of wound up right now, as you can probably tell. This little board I made, it's a little ironing board, and I made that, just kind of hand stitched the fabric onto it. Underneath is a layer of aluminum foil, and then on the top of that is a layer of padding. Simple to do, very handy. This right here is just another piece of board with, again, padding and a piece of fabric over it. And they're just kind of different sizes and shapes that are helpful. And do you have to have those? Absolutely not. You can have a regular ironing board, but there's just little gadgets that I've built and kind of had over time that have built up that have helped me, and more specifically because of me sewing a lot of coverings that I find particularly useful. But as you can see, I do think it's really important that if all possible, have your iron near you. If you can't have it near you, try to have it in the same room. Phone's ringing, but it's no bit I need to answer. Forgive that. Obviously, scissors, important things like that. I use snips a lot. Those are very handy. One pair of scissors will do you though, if that's all you can afford. Pins. I have taken to these pins that are, what are they called? They're like super extra fine or something like that, and they're very sharp. They're a little longer than average, but I do suggest that if you're going to sew much, invest in a little bit nicer pins. These are more expensive than the standard dressmaking pins or whatever. These are generally silk pins. That's what I'm trying to think of, silk pins. They're more expensive, but they're just so much sharper and finer, and I really like them a whole lot better, and I don't think I could go back now that I've had them. Let's see. Let me show you around the room a little bit more. I'll try not to show too much because it's such a mess. There's my old machine and my old serger. I keep them both here because I'm hoping that maybe one day the good Lord will bless us with a daughter and I can pass these on, but they're also machines I can train her on. They're also backups should something happen to my main machines. They both have been gifts to me. My husband bought the first one, and my parents, that was my mom's serger that she had when I was kind of young. That thing lasted a long time, and it still works, but it is a royal pain when it comes to threading it and keeping it from jamming. You really have to know it and know it well. But it is, all in all, like if you find one of those at the thrift store, it's not a bad buy, I don't think, as long as the loopers on it aren't bent. But it's a good one to have. Certainly a person doesn't need to have all these machines, but they're just ones that I've been blessed with and I'm just trying to hang on to pass down. So serger threads, if you got a serger, they're really useful to have, frankly. Even for a sewing machine, I don't know if you noticed, over here on the back I use serger thread quite often on my sewing machine, but you have to have one of these things to do it. Very useful, and especially when it comes to your black and white threads, you really want to be able to do that. It saves money. Fabric stash. Yes, it is a mess. I know, it is huge. Frankly, I just pared it down recently, but I know it probably seems excessive, but believe me, if you've seen a lot of seamstresses' sewing rooms, I think you probably find it fairly normal. Maybe even toned down, but we all have our things. A lot of the stuff I have picked up at thrift stores, or a little bit of time. I've had a lot of it handed down to me, and I am a pack rat. I don't like to throw things away, so I have a lot of it. Hopefully in time all of these things will be used, but what I do is if I find that I'm just not using something and I don't have a plan for it and I don't think I'll get around to it, I'll usually put a post on Free Cycle. Like I just gave away 2 or 3 big bags of scraps. While I know they could have been used for quilts and such, I just don't think I'm going to have time to sit down and do scrap quilts and stuff on top of all the other bazillions of projects I have planned for all of this stuff. There's my cutting out area. I'm blessed in that I have an area dedicated to do that. It's actually 2 old cabinets that was in our house when we bought it that we actually took out of what we turned into our laundry room. It was a upstairs kitchen and we converted that into laundry. But they didn't really have a use anymore, so I just put old pieces of board on top of them and they make great cutting tables. The mats on top are Rotary. I do love the Rotary mats. They are your friend, especially if you sew a lot and your wrists hurt you or anything. That's a Rotary cutter. Very useful. I don't have one. They make them that are big and long. I don't have one of those. My mom does, but I don't. But just even this size is good if you're going to cut out fabric. A lot of people only have little small ones. Whatever you can afford. If you got a Joann's near you, it's a good thing to use your Joann's coupon on. Because these mats can be kind of expensive. This one right here Mom actually gave me, and this one I found at a thrift store. You never know. It's not something, it's the only time I've ever seen one at a thrift store, and I think I paid $3 for it. But normally these things can be like 50-60 bucks. But very nice to have. If you don't have Rotary, no big deal. People have gotten by for many years with just scissors, but they are nice. I think they do cut more precision than scissors do. A little easier. I've got a small one for going around small corners. Frankly, I don't use that as much. I just use that one more than anything. very good tool to have, but not necessary. Here's some other gadgets I have. I got more of these bias makers here. They are nice things to pick up if you can. Save you money for projects that require bias tape. These were a gift from my husband and some from my mom from GVS, but you can buy them at any sewing place. They're pattern weights. Instead of pinning all your patterns down as you go to cut things out, just weight them down. I love these because I hate cutting things out and it makes it go quicker. That's the part of sewing that I hate the most. But generally, I mean, I've got all kinds of stuff over here just from working. These rulers are nice to have if you're going to use rotary. You need something long with a thick edge to cut up against, and where these are clear, they help you cut straps and things like that to your widths a lot easier. They are almost indispensable when you're quilting. I mean, certainly people can quilt without them, but if you want to do a lot of speed quilting, so to speak, very, very useful to have the whole rotary stuff. But again, not absolutely necessary. But over here I try to keep things like marking tools, old soap slivers. Those are your friends. And frankly, I've got the various pens and pencils and stuff. I still like soap slivers for marking. Trying to see what else here to show you. I just pan around the room here. Down here I've got, this bin is just scraps mostly, patterns. I've got a lot of my hand-drawn patterns there. There's commercial patterns under there, just stuff everywhere. Old sheets I found at the thrift that are knit type fabric, great for underwear. All sorts of stuff. And then over there's, you know, sewing books, notions and such like elastic. If you can buy your elastic by the roll from GVS, you will save a lot of money. But all in all, it's a very messy sewing room. I apologize for the excuse me, for the huge mess, but frankly, I thought I could clean it up before doing this, but I figured if anything, you're going to see it real. I don't know if you've imparted any tips from this, but hopefully you have. Have a blessed day.